The world's ancient myths are a precious inheritance to all men and women from every culture, and they are all metaphor. They can be shown to be metaphor because they're all based on the stars. Characters in the stories are based on specific constellations, and the actions, the adventures of those characters are based on specific constellations using a pattern that is a worldwide system, an ancient worldwide system uniting all cultures of the earth. It is a common inheritance, a precious inheritance filled with ancient wisdom for our lives that is as relevant or more relevant today than ever. The stories in the Bible are myths. They are part of this ancient system. They are not to be taken literally. They're not made to be taken literally. Literalist religion is an aberration. It's a wrong turn in history. Those stories are part of an ancient system. They are using the same system. They are built on the same metaphors, but they're never intended to be taken literally. They can be shown to be celestial metaphor, part of this same ancient system that was swirling around in the Mediterranean when the stories that we know of as the New Testament were written down, but they are not literal. This was a set of stories like all the others, and then it was taken literally and deliberately turned into a world-conquering system, but it was never originally intended to be taken literally. And it led to the abandonment of the ancient wisdom given to all cultures. It started to go around stamping out ancient understanding that's encoded in this precious inheritance of the myths, starting in the Roman Empire and the Mediterranean and then spreading from there. It's a rejection of the teachings of the world's myths and an abandonment of the ancient gods and the ancient teachings. And the ancient teachings are teachings of a different approach, of the teaching that the gifts from the gods are abundant. It's a teaching of abundance. In the ancient system, this ancient wisdom teaches abundance, that all the resources of the earth and the resources, the gifts given to men and women, each human, man or woman, child who's born, is allowed to be born by the gods and given different gifts by the gods. This is very clear in all the world's ancient myths. And so those gifts given to men and women are also resources infinite from the gods with infinite potential. And the infinite nature of the blessings of the gods is symbolized in ancient Greek myth, for instance, with the symbol of the cornucopia, the horn of plenty, of abundance, carried by various different gods. Pluton, the god of the underworld and of wealth, carries a cornucopia, this inexhaustible abundance, but it's been replaced by a cult of austerity, that the gods don't give enough. There's not enough. And the reason is the ancient system was against oligarchy. It was against oligarchs who wanted to gobble up and take the resources, the gifts of the gods, just for themselves, for a small group. This can be shown that the ancient myths stand against oligarchy, and also that they're against trauma. The use of trauma to enforce oligarchy is absolutely out of control today because we've abandoned this ancient system. Oligarchs want those resources and gifts from the gods all to themselves. That's why they want to impose austerity. You see, in the ancient systems of the world, if all gifts come from the divine realm, the resources of the sun and the sea and the field and the forest come from the divine realm, then nations are properly incorporated in order to preserve those gifts for the benefit of the nation, for the benefit of the men and women born into that nation, allowed to be born into that nation, allowed by the gods to be born into that nation, and given gifts by the gods to use those resources, those gifts, along with the resources of the nation. And modern monetary theory, let me tie this into modern times. Modern monetary theory explains from an approach of abundance that nations can create money in order to best use those resources. But oligarchs hate that idea. They want to restrict the nation's ability to take care of the people so that those resources can be gobbled up by the oligarchs. If you can follow me here, modern monetary theory is really not modern at all. It is ancient. Ancient money had on the coins the images of the gods, because those coins, you can print infinite money, but you can't print infinite resources. I'll explain more about modern monetary theory, which should really be called nation money theory, or some people call it the state theory of money, that the state creates money as a way of portioning the resources. Now, they can create the money and portion the resources badly. In fact, they can create the money in ways that give the resources to oligarchs, but they don't have to. And that's why oligarchs hate this theory, because when money is created in the proper way, with the understanding that there is enough gifts from the gods to uplift the people of that nation, including the gifts given to those people, instead of wasting those gifts, then oligarchs don't get a chance to gobble up and corner all those resources. But what happens is oligarchs want to impose austerity, a scarcity mindset, and they want to get rid of that ancient teaching that all these resources are gifts from the gods, from this infinite cornucopia. But that is evident. It's taught over and over in the myths that the gifts come from the gods abundantly, and it's seen so clearly in the Orphic hymns. And I'll just close this with the Orphic hymn number 19, to Zeus the Thunderbolt, from the superlative translation of Apostolos and Athanasakis and Benjamin Wolkow. Orphic hymn 19, to Zeus the Thunderbolt. Incense, storax. Father Zeus, sublime is the course of the blazing cosmos you drive on. Ethereal and lofty the flash of your lightning as you shake the seat of the gods with a god's thunderbolts. The fire of your lightning emblazons the rain clouds. You bring storms and hurricanes. You bring mighty gales. You hurl roaring thunder, a shower of arrows. Horrific might and strength sets all aflame. Dreadful missile makes hearts pound and hair bristle. Holy and invincible, it comes with a sudden crash. An endless spiral of noise, omnivorous in its drive, unbreakable and threatening, ineluctable too. The gale's sharp and smoke-filled shafts swoop down with a flash dreaded by land and sea. Wild beasts cringe when they hear the noise. Faces reflect the brilliance of thunder roaring in the celestial hollows. You tear the robe that cloaks heaven. You hurl the fiery thunderbolt. O blessed one, the anger of the sea waves, the anger of the mountain peaks, we all know your power. Enjoy this libation, and give all things pleasing to the heart, a life of prosperity, queenly health, divine peace that nurtures youths, crowned with honors, a life ever blooming with cheerful thoughts.